Okay, so now it's time to put it all together and ask ourselves, what is the way to maximize profit given a certain production level? In this case, Q equals to 3. So in this case, what we find is that the profit maximizing quantity will only actually maximize profit if we happen to choose the right total cost. And that's where the production process comes into play in our isocost and isoquant curves. So each isocost curve represents a certain expenditure associated with our options for production. So as you notice, B and A are all options on the isoquant curve. And so if I were to choose to produce with the level of labor and capital associated with point B, I find that my total cost to produce is equal to 40 divided by 1 gives us 40 units of capital, and the rental rate for capital is $1. And so our total cost associated with TC2 is equal to $40. I'm going to erase this because that's the total cost to produce at points along the TC1 curve, because if I spend all my money on capital at $1 per unit of capital, I get at most 20 units. So the total cost associated with all the points on TC1 is $20. And so out of these two, of course, I'd rather spend $20 than I would spend $40. So that happens at the tangency between the Q isoquant and the what's called total 20 isocost. Let's talk for a moment about point D. Point D is a cost level that is obviously much lower. It's closer to the origin. Maybe this total cost associated with point B is only $10. And I would love to only spend $10 to produce 3 units, but unfortunately, it's not a point along our isoquant curve, meaning it won't get the job done. I don't have enough capital and labor to make that happen. And so what we find is D is not an option. So I'm down to point B and A, and as we said, this represents a point of tangency. And it just so happens that whenever an isocost and an isoquant are tangent, that is the cost minimizing way to produce a particular level of output. So remember from our last videos that the slope of the isocost is W over R, of course negative because it's downward sloping, and the slope of the isoquant, again negative, is the marginal product of labor over the marginal product of capital. The negatives can cancel each other out. So this says that the slope of the isoquant is exactly equal to the slope of the isocost and at point A, and that is where the cost minimizing combination of labor and capital occur. So whenever there's a point of tangency, we're always going to minimize the cost to produce that particular quantity in the marketplace. What we'll look in subsequent videos is what happens when, say, wage rates change and how that's going to lead to a new combination of labor and capital.